Today's cutting hack is all about strips, stripping it, or in my case, I wanted to talk to you about zip strips. Now, the Close to My Heart cards pattern paper has these great 1/2 inch zip strips, but I want to show you how you can cut them into 1/4 inch and why you might want to. This one is a great zip strip that I can use the whole thing, but if I only have one, this is the perfect one that I would want to cut into 2 1/4 inch strips. Sometimes 1/4 is all you need to actually add a little pizzazz going across your page. So I will put this at the 1/4 inch line on my paper trimmer. That is that first long line that you can see right there. Make sure it's lined up perfectly and cut it right off. Now, it's really a great idea, see how cool that looks, is to cut your zip strips while, if you're going to cut them into smaller strips, while it's still attached to the paper. So this one I'm going to cut right on the line. And you'll make sure you want to learn where your cut line is. So mine is right along the rail, and I get a super smooth cut. So those are my 2 zip strips that I can use on a scrapbook page or a card, but I get full use out of it, but twice the power because they're nice little strips for a scrapbook page. Now, in this instance, sometimes you want to use the full 1/2 inch or you want to follow that line. If you find it's hard to see sometimes, like in this instance, how close it is in color, you might want to flip it over and use the back. I've always loved our zip strips because they're like having ribbon. So I can see it's just a little above that gray, and now I have that cut, which is wonderful. So I can use that whole star zip strip and I can cut them all. But this one again, when I look at this, I can see myself doing this using 2 strips. So basically they're a 1/2 inch wide. So I'm going to go to the 1/4 inch on my trimmer, make sure I'm lined up perfectly, and just cut those strips. What a great use of paper and pizzazz, but in small doses. There you have 2 really cool strips. Now there's one more strip I want to talk to you about, and that is using when you have words. So let's turn this pattern over and look at all the words that are in strips. So most likely you're going to need a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to show you, I haven't used this paper yet, but what it looks like on a layout. So here you can see I used a strip of the paper as part of the border on this particular layout, and then a bigger piece of paper on the bottom. But then again, I also carried it over just the strip on the right-hand side. I love being able to have that opportunity to do something like that. So on this particular paper, I'm not going to use that bottom line. It's a little bit too, it might be a little bit too narrow. So I'm just going to cut right here and take that off. And let's see if I go to a 1/4 inch where it takes me. I think it's going to work out perfectly. So you can see how I can use 1/4 inch strips. You might waste a strip. So I'm probably going to waste this next strip a little bit. So it all depends on your paper and the spacing. But I could still use this if I want to, but not if it was going across a page next to each other. I want to make sure they're pretty even. So let's go to the 1/4 inch, right on that first line. Whoops, my finger moved there. And there's your strip. So isn't that a pretty cool thing that you can use strips of words going across the page or as a sidebar as well? So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed learning about strips, really simple strips from pattern paper or zip strips that really can make a difference and add pizzazz in small ways. Well, that's the end of this hack. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll try it out for yourself and let me know what your thoughts are.